Hello, everyone. This is Christian Imazu from Nizona Corporation, and we have been putting Japan quality products to the reach of everyone since 2011. Today, this is the last installment of our OEM production and development basics, and I will address the topic of regulatory and logistics. And the questions that I'll discuss now are the following ones. Why do regulations matter? How does Nizona help me with the regulations? Why do logistics matter? How does Nizona help me with logistics? And how much will all this is going to cost me? These are questions that are very common in our customers' minds, and that is why today I want to address specifically this very important part of our work. Now, why do regulations matter? Basically, regulations are all the laws that apply to the import, distribution, and circulation of a given product. In our case, we handle dietary supplements, and these products are for human consumption. And that is why it is very important that the authorities of every country ensure that these products are safe and are stable, shelf stable for human consumption, and on our case, that they are also reachable at an affordable price. Now, why do regulations matter? Essentially, when we do business in the food supplement area, we have to think not only about manufacturing a good quality product, but that the product also meets all the regulations of the product of the country of destination. And this is where Nizona's value comes in, because not every manufacturer is an exporter, and not every exporter is a manufacturer, and not every company has regulatory and documentary expertise. That is one of our key strength points. Basically, every product that you find in a shelf was made at some point. But from making a product for the product being on that shelf or in that online store where you buy it, it had to travel. That means it had to cross borders from different countries and different laws. So, like it's written here in point number one, products do not only need to be made, they need to reach you. They need to reach the final consumer. On the other hand, food regulations are also becoming stricter. Food science is evolving. The understanding of food ingredients is growing. And therefore, regulations at the same time become more detailed and more stringent. Finally, long-term business requires consideration of regulations. You cannot do business in a stable and long-term manner without having consideration to the regulations that apply in your country. Now, we observed during the history of our work that documentation mistakes are really costly in time and money. You don't want to be in a situation where you overlook regulatory aspects and they come later in the future and affect your bottom line. We try to address these points via a simple process and shared communication to avoid these problems in the future. What is our strength? We have a track record behind all this. We have been doing business exporting our products to more than 20 countries since 2011. We have an in house regulatory specialist, we have expertise in documentation processing, and we always evaluate your product regulatory requirement in advance via a pre-established system, meaning we help you evaluate our product, or we help you evaluate how our product will meet your regulatory requirements. Now, specifically, how does Nizona help me with the regulations? First, in this aspect, I have to issue an initial disclaimer. Nizona Corporation is a Japanese company, and therefore we only warrant and represent the regulations of Japan. Any regulation outside of Japan needs to ultimately be understood, confirmed, and assessed by you as a customer. However, having said that, this is not our first rodeo, and we have been doing business with many countries during many years. So we will always share our past experience with you. And that is a lot. That counts a lot because that is almost being halfway in when it comes to assessing how a product will meet certain regulation. Number two, we will help you make a regulatory assessment. When you consult a regulatory specialist in your country, you will need to answer a number of questions, and we will help you answer those questions via a pre-established system that I will address in the following slides. Number three, we provide with document templates. We will not surprise you with how a document looks like. You will be able to see the documentary templates in advance so that you can pre-check them with your authorities or with your consultant. And finally, we provide the regulatory documents. After they were confirmed, we will issue, sign, and certify the documentary the documents as required. Now, what is our past experience? We have been doing business since 2011 in more than 20 countries, and this covers a wide range of regulations in North America, South America, the Middle East, India, Asia, and Far Asia, and Southeast Asia. And this includes many countries with different regulatory systems and many regulatory philosophies when it comes to documentation. Now, how do we help you make a product regulatory assessment? In it, essentially, when you consult with your local authorities or when you have an interview with a regulatory consultant in your country, you will need to provide a number of certain information. And this information will be given to you through a information package that we will provide so that you can have this interview or this inquiry with your regulatory authority. Number one, the product name, category, and origin. These are essentially answering what is the product. When you have an interview with the consultant or with your regulatory authority, you need to answer what are you going to bring to this country? What are you importing? What are you distributing, right? Also, the regulatory classification of the product, essentially if the product requires certain license to be handled, to be imported, to be distributed. In this case, we are talking about food or food dietary products that usually do not require license. In the case of Japan, a license is not required to distribute, sell, or handle a food product. Now, packaging details, how the product is packed, and that matters because it affects the stability of the product in the shelf. We need to give you the packaging details. The directions, counterindications, allergen indications of the product, if applicable. The available documentation list and templates, what documents are available about this product and about the production of this product. The HS code, right, which is the code that applies for tariff purposes, and the product image, how the product looks like, and what are the ingredients in the product. This matters because in some countries, certain products of animal or plant origin are subject to particular requirements. It could be quarantine requirements, for example, and this will be important for your authorities to know. And finally, a physical sample. By providing this information packaging, you can have an efficient and a meaningful interview with a consultant or inquiry to your regulatory authorities to understand what is the regulatory classification of our product in your country. Now, in addition to the product, you need to understand how the product or where the product was manufactured and under which manufacturing quality specifications. And that means what are the manufacturing standards of the product. Usually, in the case of Nizona Corporation at least, we manufacture our products under GMP standards. This means good manufacturing practices. And we have a lot of information about what this means and what this implies. And these aspects will be addressed in a separate video. Now, the way that we used to assess the documentation after you have already clarified what is a regulatory classification of the product in your country is a documents processing request sheet. And to address this document, I have made a separate video that you can that will be linked in this video, and you can see uh, how we handle this documentation, and how you need to fill up this form so that we can provide you the documents that you need. Essentially, the documents processing request sheet, or DPRS, is a form that we will ask you to fill so that we can provide you the documents that you will need for import or regulation in a accurate and error-free manner. So please take a look at the video. It's linked in the description below. Now, the next point of discussion is the documents templates. And regarding the documents templates, that's a separate discussion that I do not have time to address in this video. So I made a separate presentation about that is also linked in the description below. By watching that video, you can actually see the documents that we provide for our products and for our production plans. You can see the actual documents live, how they actually look like, how they are certified, and what is written in them. And by seeing those documents, you can more easily understand whether these documents, or how these documents will be accepted or interpreted by your customs authorities or your regulatory authorities of your country. Now, the next chapter in this presentation, after we have discussed regulations, is logistics. Why do logistics matter? Basically, like I said in past slides, every product that you see in an online shop, or every product that you see in a supermarket or any store, has to travel to get there. And this means that if the product can't travel, the product can't be sold. And this is why logistics matter. Not every manufacturer has exporting know-how. Many companies, especially in our country, in Japan, have excellent manufacturing capacity, but when it comes to logistics, especially international logistics, that is an entire different set of know-how that is required. If a product can travel, it can get to your customers. So that's a basic bottom line when it comes to logistics. In the case of Nizona Corporation, we do not only develop, manufacture, and export the product, but we also have a lot of logistics experience around many countries in the world. We have an agency network in the key markets. That means that we can help you find logistics agents through our network in different countries. And we provide the cost transparently, meaning most of the quotations that we issue are in FOB form, meaning that we take charge of the costs all the way till the export point. Goods are clear for export and delivered to a shipper of your choice, or CIF, when we take charge of the shipping costs and insurance all the way until the import port, meaning the port of your country. I'll discuss a little more in the next slides. How can we help you with logistics? Basically, in similar way that we help you with regulations. We shared our past experience. We have a lot of experience shipping products to many countries around the world, so we are able to share that experience with you. We take care of shipment till your local port if the trading terms are CIF. CIF means our company, as an exporter and manufacturer, will produce the product, export the product, put it in a ship, and deliver it, and take charge of the delivery of the product all the way until the port of import, meaning the port of your country. From that point on, you take possession of the goods and clear the products for import. Other way that we can do it is by liaising with your Japanese shipper in case that you want to take charge of the shipping of the goods. In that case, is what we call an FOB delivery. In that case, the products will be delivered in the port of export, clear for export by us, and taken charge by your shipper from that point on, so that they can be delivered all the way until the import port of your choice. Now, In addition to all this, we adapt to your specific needs. That's the point number four. When we adapt to your specific needs, it means that sometimes logistics is not straightforward. Sometimes you need products to be delivered in parts or delivered to different locations or by different means of transportation, etc. If we receive those instructions from you in advance, we can take charge of that and have flexibility in terms of the delivery of the product. Now, a very important question in the mind of every customer is how much will this cost? Is this extra service of regulation and logistics going to cost me more? And the answer is no, it's not going to cost you more. The way that it works is that we process all the documents for you in advance, and we may take a documentation deposit if these two things happen. Number one, the regulatory authority of your country requires expensive certifications or notarizations. Depending on the country, some regulatory authorities may require stamps or certificates or notarizations in the documents to certify their authenticity, and sometimes these notarizations and processes are quite costly. However, these costs are refunded after your order becomes official. Number two, documentation drafting is requested before you confirm your order. It happens sometimes that you may need an extensive documentation drafting work even before you are able to place your order or even before you want to place your order. In that kind of situation, we need to use a lot of our resources and a lot of our administration resources in order to draft, process, and acquire these documents in advance without having the order from you. Therefore, it is logical that we need to take some deposit in order to cover these administration expenses until the order is confirmed. Once the order is confirmed, absolutely, we will refund that deposit to you so that we can credit that deposit against the order that you are placing. So that means that basically the documentation and regulation regulatory documentation process is free of cost. Now, when it comes to logistics, the question is how much will it cost me the logistics process? Well, it's the same principle as when it comes to regulation. This is free of cost. And the reason is because in international trading, in the case of an FOB quotation, the price of the product includes the export charges, right? The export charges means all the transportation that it takes to for the product to reach the export port from the factory, from one of our facilities, until the export location and all the export charges. And from that point on, you can shop around for what is the cheapest option for you to transport the goods from the port of Japan until your the port of import. In the case of an CIF quotation, we at Nizona Corporation, we take charge of the whole process of export, shipping, and insurance until your import port. In that case, the cost or the quotation of our product will include all these charges all the way until the port of import. And then you may decide which pricing structure works better for you. In other words, we uh, give you a set of prices and you can then compare uh, on your end with different shipping vendors and choose the lowest cost option. If you find that you can find a shipping company from your country that can provide a lower cost or a cost more advantageous to you, you can request us to just take charge of the delivery in the export port so that you can work with your preferred vendor for the shipping afterwards. So basically, to conclude this discussion, it's not just about the product. I discussed all the features of the development process, the packaging process, the printing process, etc., until now in different installments of this basic series. But ultimately, even if you manage to source an excellent quality product, the product has to reach you, and it has to reach you safely, and it has to reach you in a way that will not violate any regulation of your country, and it has to clear customs safely so that the product can reach you to your warehouse and from there to your end customers. And that is our mission, from product concept all the way to the shelf, where it can be put in the hands of the end consumer, who will enjoy the product and enjoy all the benefits of what we do. That is what we do when we say, let us bring your product from concept to reality. So thank you very much for your attention, and please let us know if you have more questions, or is there anything else that you would like to know. We'll be happy to interact and respond to your questions through our network of very sincere and hardworking sales executives. Thank you very much for your time, and see you next time.